Okay. So sorry. I hope you had a nice lunch. We are back here, and the next talk is by CTO of the first successful and I think the only one successful company that had a successful ICO in Croatia. So give a round of applause for Nikola Jokić from Digital Assets PowerPlay.
Hi, my name is Nikola. I'm the CTO of Digital Assets PowerPlay, and I've been playing with technology since I was from junior school. I started with QBasic, so I like to break things, especially software. And today we're going to talk about testnets. I think that almost everybody in this room used some kind of testnet sometime. Did anybody own some test bitcoins at some point in time? Oh, nice. Old school guys. So the basic idea is to make some historical rundown of the testnets that appeared and disappeared through the history of blockchain, not only Ethereum, but we'll talk a bit about Bitcoin test networks, a bit about Polkadot test networks, and then we're gonna see and talk a bit about what testnets are useful for and how can they help us in our daily social life, and announce some initiatives that started in Croatia regarding some test networks. So this is the first Bitcoin test network. The commit that happened on the GitHub repo was in 2010. Interestingly enough, this testnet started before Bitcoin mailing list, so it's really an old thing. But I'm not sure, is this really the first testnet that ever happened? I think that Satoshi, while he was developing, I presume he started a few rounds of mining and then just deleted the history. So this is the first one that we know of. Gavin Anderson committed the code required for the test network. In a sense, it was basically just a few checks: are we on a testnet or not, and a new Genesis block for this testnet, and some times and so I'm not sure what this end bits is. Maybe somebody can share some info if you can read the source code of Ethereum. And basically it existed for some time until second testnet happened at 2011. David Francois committed the new hash Genesis block and time and the nonce. I love this in Croatian, sorry. It's basically a second testnet, but they called it testnet. They didn't call it testnet number 2. What's interesting, this block time, this is like a Genesis block time when it was mined. It wasn't updated in testnet number 3. So if you go to some kind of block explorer and of today's Bitcoin testnet and look at the time of Bitcoin testnet number 3 block 0, you will get time from the Bitcoin testnet number 2, because in this commit it wasn't updated. They updated just the hash and the nonce. The third testnet is the testnet that we have today. So if you play around with Bitcoin testnet, it started in 2012 and it's still here today. This is a snippet of a chat that basically started today's testnet. I'm sure that you know this name, Slush. I presume that you know. So he's responsible for the current third testnet. It has its problem. I think in 2018 somebody started to push bad blocks and the whole network forked and went to shit. But I'm not sure did anybody made some fixes on the mainnet for it. I'm not so much in the Bitcoin space. And basically that's it regarding Bitcoin testnets. 3 of them, interesting things. Then we can look a bit into Ethereum testnets. Olympic ID 0, also the Ethereum 0.9. We are today at 0.1. We should hopefully be 2.0 in 2020. Yeah, we'll see. run for a few months. 2015 was the year when it happened. The chain ID is 0. I'm not sure can you sync Olympic today if you try to sync it. I'm not sure anybody has a history of it. Testnet number 2, modern frontier equivalent testnet, basically replaced Olympic, deprecated in late 2016 and replaced by Robston. I think that everybody knows Robston today. Interestingly enough, it started some kind of convention to call a testnet regarding some nearest subway station or metro station near the place where it was decided upon. So basically, Robston is also a metro station, Kovan is also a metro station, Rikerb is also a metro station, or a train station, I'm not sure. So let's talk a bit about Robston. It's basically the testnet of today. It was attacked in 2017, but it was salvaged. Even like a few months ago, it was a problem with the Constantinople fork where nobody was mining the new chain, and it's not so stable. You know, you can if you have some decent graphic card, you can start to make a mess in people's applications that are working on Robston. I think that we have a company here that had that kind of issue with showcase an app on Robston and it stopped working when the chain was forked. Network ID is free, and basically today people are not so happy with Robston. It's heavy. You need to sync it for a long time. It's kind of fucked up. So it's going to be shut down soon, I think. But we'll see. We'll see what's the idea for the future test networks. So Kovan is the next one. It was started by Parity team, and it was basically the first proof of authority network. I'm not sure. Do you know what proof of authority is? Should I go a bit more deeper in what's proof of authority? No. Okay. Good. No. Okay. So basically, you don't mine blocks, but you say these are the authorities that can sign the new blocks. So it's basically like a click of group of people that are that have the rights to sign blocks. It's a nice little authority around protocol or a proof of authority. And if you have time, play with it because it's really nice because you can control things on nice levels. Named after a subway station in Singapore. But what was the problem with Kovan? Only Parity client was supporting it. So if you're running a Kovan network, you could only use Parity client, which is not so fun. It's still alive today. Network ID 42, block time 4 seconds. But you know, it's just Parity client. So if you use Parity, it's good. It's stable. You know, it's mining. It's not gonna stop. But it's not so nice. If you're developing on Go Ethereum or Mastermind or whatever your client of choice is. Then I think a month later, this was March 2017, April 2017, Go Ethereum guys wrote up another proof of authority protocol called Click. It's much more simpler in implementation terms and the way you can configure it, but it's basically the same thing. You have a click of authorities that can sign blocks in this network. This is also a public test network. It kind of works all the time, similar to Kovan. Sometimes it stops, but the same problem, supported by Geth only. And this is something that for some time it was like. It seemed that proof of authority is dead in the sense that you have two clients, two different proof of authority implementations, and you couldn't do anything with this if you want to support multiple clients. Interesting with Kovan, there is a block reward. You get a reward when you seal a block, so you can define block reward is 1,000 ethers or whatever, and then every miner will get. In Rinker, basically click protocol, the ether is pre-mined. So you define in the genesis how many ether exist in this network, and that's it. What's nice about these networks is they are immune to spam attacks. So unless you acquired a big amount of Ethereum on this test network, you cannot attack it, because the supply is controlled. This is not so nice for a public global blockchain, but it's nice if you have some special needs for your enterprise or for your community or whatever. And a few months ago, there was an initiative to fix this problem that you have two proof of authority networks, two different clients, and Gurley was born. The name is from a train station near Görlitzer Park in Berlin, because the network was envisioned on a hackathon that happened in Berlin. It was proposed by Afi Schuden, who is working for Parity, but it's not a Parity-related project. Basically, it's just a community effort to get things rolling. Why it's writing pre-Gurley? Because it's not still officially launched. There was Gurley 0.1, which was powered by the authority round, similar as the Cohen network. Currently, there is pre-Gurley 0.2, which is basically click PoA GDA 225. If you want to read the document, it's a nice read. Just before sleep, you can kind of look at the block parameters and stuff like that. Currently, it's running click proof of authority engine. And what happened? Happened that multiple clients showed up. So currently, you can with Gurley you can run Go Ethereum, which is written in Go. Pantheon, it's written in Java. Nethermind is a .NET client. Ethereum JS also, like a month ago, started to work with Click protocol, and Parity is a work in progress. So this is unbelievable that we have a Click protocol developed in Parity. Currently, it can sync, it can validate blocks, but it still cannot seal blocks. They are planning to get it running before Christmas. Who knows? Hopefully it will happen. In that sense, Click won the game. You know, it's a proof of authority protocol that's supported in multiple clients, and in the sense, it showed that it's much more easier to understand. But if you're from a developer standpoint of perspective, authority round is much more superior because you have better control of the process and the voting process, and it's much more rich. But it is yet to be seen what's the end game. The main Gurley test network will be deployed, I think, January, February 2019. Current chain ID is 6284, but it will be probably 5 when it's launched officially. Because if you look, Rickaby is 4, and the Gurley has a high goal to replace even Rockstan, to replace even Cohen and Rickaby, so to become a main Ethereum test network. You might ask yourself, how is that possible if it's not proof of work? Are we testing the real thing if it's not proof of work? Because this is proof of authority. Well, the developers started to do something, and the testnet is Sturaby. Have you heard about this one? Did anybody hear about this testnet? One. You know why you didn't hear about it? Because it lived for, I think, 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks, they went through the whole history of Ethereum forking. The first forks and then Constantinople to test the hard fork transition in a proof of work environment. So it seems to me that the future of Ethereum testing will happen on a proof of authority network. But when you need to test something that's related to proof of work, there will be some ephemeral networks that will show up, test the thing, and just close, because it's not feasible to mine a test network because you're spending electricity and hardware for nothing, basically, just to see what's happening. I'm one of the validators on the pre-Gurley test network. There is 7 validators, guys from Pantheon, Coensys, Nethermind, etc. And this is the Explorer, the backup Explorer. The main one is on the Block Scout. This is the second one. What's interesting, this is hosted in Croatia. It's on our server, so if you go to explorer.gurley.net, this is a Croatian server responding with some info about who was the signer, or who was the transaction, etc. Sure, we kind of talked about it. It was like a ephemeral proof of work test network. We'll just mention Polkadot test networks. Have you heard about Polkadot? A few hands up. Nice. It's a Web3 Foundation supported project trying to achieve probably the same thing as Ethereum 2.0 in a sense, to have some kind of scalability solved. Look into it, it's a really interesting project. If you're looking for some code to work on, look for Substrate. It's a parity repository Substrate. It's basically a bare bones blockchain, and you just put in your important stuff. The whole other things are given to you, like peer-to-peer network, etc., etc. Krumelanke, Barbecue Breach. I'm not sure where the names are from. I didn't have the time to check it out. But type in polka.m, see for yourselves. So this is an interesting thing to think about. There were some testnets. We saw Bitcoin testnet number 1, Bitcoin testnet number 2. I'm not sure, can you sync those testnets? I think that we lost them forever. You know, we don't know the blocks in this test networks. And this just says that if we stop mining Bitcoin one day and everybody deletes their own nodes, we will never know what was in these blockchains. And I'm not sure, can you download the Olympic testnet blockchain? This is an unanswered question from Stack Overflow. If somebody has a torrent of the blocks from the Olympic test network, I'm not sure. Maybe they can share it, especially with Bitcoin. I'm not sure does it exist anymore. Maybe on some old forgotten computer. This is not necessary for us, but it will be nice to see the transaction happening on those test networks. So there is a bunch of testnets. They will happen even more every day. There will be more and more blockchains, more and more test networks. And the idea is, the question is, what can we learn from the test networks? So, why testnets? It's a safe environment, like a safe zone in which you can do whatever you want. And the interesting stuff about testnet is that people are generally happy when you break them. So if you break a testnet, people will be happy because they know what's wrong with the mainnet and they can fix it as quick as possible. Improves collaboration because testnets give you a reason to work on the same blockchain as other people. The other possibility is that everybody runs their own testnet internally in their companies. Easier to fork reset updates so you can move faster in them. And basically it's a nice tool for learning. And this is something that I'm mostly interested in because testnets are really, really good for learning stuff. There is a new term emerging that happened with Girly test network. It's collabnet, because it's not just the testnet per se, but especially a collaboration tool in which you can work with your colleagues that you have, where you have the same interest in that specific blockchain. So what can we do with this all information? We can look, there are global testnets where anyone can join, although it's like quotes are there because it's really hard to join some test networks. You can try to mine Ropsten, but I'm not sure can you apply to be a validator on Coven or Rickaby. Those doors are shut, and basically you can just do it by yourself. There are some bunch of private net testnets that are created and destroyed daily. Every time you run a Ganasha, you start a new blockchain, then you destroy it and it's gone forever. But nobody asks a question, what about local testnets? Can we have a Čakovec testnet to see how can city of Čakovec use blockchain to improve its governance, or maybe a Croatia testnet or EU testnet? Let's dream about possibilities like this. The question is, what can blockchain testnet do for a local society? I'm not sure is there some kind of an effort to answer this question. Everybody is focused on global solutions, but I live in a city. I meet same people every day. Sometimes I travel to Singapore or Bangkok, but most of my day is focused with the people that I live with in a city or a country. So there was an initiative that received really positive feedback, and it started to be alive. It's called Lisinski testnet. It's a first country level testnet as far as I know. It's first Croatia's testnet collabnet as far as I know. And it's basically the idea to get the Croatian developers, Croatian academics, Croatian individuals that are working on Ethereum to run their own testnet. Its name got from Lisinski, the tram station in Zagreb, and I think it's a nice name for a first Croatian test network. The network ID for now is 385. Raise your hand. It's your blame. It's 305. We went for with 9141, but it was pretty quickly. Well, you know, we try, but and the idea is to have a proof of authority testnet based on click protocol. But it's a discussion. The testnet is still not live. It's more of an idea. So if you have a better idea or a better protocol, please communicate. This is the historical day where we were drinking coffee at Lisinski, and we said, okay, let's call it Lisinski. This is Court here. But there are many more people. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll go.
I think it should be called by the name of the train station or bus station that's closest to the place where you actually develop it, not where you drink coffee.
No, you will envision it, and then the development happens. Most of the stuff, let's do a testnet was the nearest train station, this, and then you make it reality. But I think that's, you know, we can call it as
it's better than Chernomorets.
Some talks were happening in Lauba, and the nearest train station was Selska, and we were not so happy with Selska, so we said, okay, let's make it Lisinski. And Lisinski is an interesting guy. So look at his bio. There is a nice story about Lisinski and how he came to Croatia, changed his name, and started to develop local community in terms of language and literature and art. So Lisinski seems like a cool guy. I'm not a historian, so I don't know. Maybe he has some evil background that we don't know of. So what are the goals? Improve collaboration and communication on local level between teams, companies, individuals, and academics. So basically, the idea is to improve communication. There are a bunch of companies and teams and individuals working in Croatia, and they are kind of quiet and they don't talk to each other. And you really don't know what's happening in your neighborhood regarding the blockchain development. Lisinski, basically the main goal of the Lisinski is to resolve this issue, to get people talking, to get people share knowledge between them, and when they deploy a contract, they deploy it together, and so they can start to grow. Gather knowledge, disperse, help create documentation, blogs, posts, and books in Croatian language. I'm not sure about you, but when I read something in my native language, it's much more easier to understand. I'll give an example of Uvod u Git. Has anybody read that book, Uvod u Git? It's on GitHub. It really helped me understand Git on a whole another level, just because it was in Croatian.
You are aware that Lisinski spoke bad Croatian?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I know he's like the Austrian guy at first. Yeah. But he came here and started to talk about Elitism and etc. So I think that if Lisinski results in 2 blog posts in Croatian about, I'm not sure, some topic that you're interested, it's a step forward, because it's valuable to have something in local language. Although everybody knows English today, but it's much easier. One thing that I'm also interested in, how can blockchain improve local societies? Yeah.
How is the global testnet stopping any of these things?
Well, I'll ask you a question. It's not stopping. So there is no limits that we have global validators on Lisinski test network, but it's on an existing test network. It's really hard to get to the core team and be involved in the creation of the testnet. The Lisinski aim of the goal of Lisinski to get the job done together. So I did this for myself. I started a few testnets personally, but until early I never did it in a dispersed environment. But what I needed to do to get it, I needed to travel to Toronto, I needed to travel to Berlin, I needed to meet like 20 people from global environment, and it's hard to talk to them because everybody has their own time zones, and it's much more difficult to communicate. Locally, we can be much more efficient, and locally we can focus our needs and adapt the blockchain on our needs. So maybe we decide that we need shorter block time because network propagation between locally based servers is quicker, so we can maybe push the boundary. All proof of authority network have around 6 or 7 validators. Maybe we can try to see what's happening with 20 validators. But the idea is to use the technology to learn about it and to share your give feedback about the usage. What happens even with girly testnet that you don't plan to break something, but you do. So even Lisinski test network can influence the mainnet because we discover some edge case locally that it's hard to discover globally. So it's not so much that we're going to write up some new Ethereum yellow paper based on Lisinski, but we will use the software and we will provide the feedback, and that's something that's really valuable. Did I answer your question? Thank you. The question is, what infrastructure do you need for a testnet? For the most test networks, infrastructure is already there. You have a block explorer, you have validator nodes, you have stats page. It's a process to learn how do you run those things, how do you host those things, and you basically cannot do it on a global level because it's already done. Locally, we can do it together and learn how to spin up a block explorer, what's a block explorer, and etc. But basically, I can sum it to provide a local platform to acquire and share knowledge. I think that's a valuable goal. But why? And basically, that's your question. But why? Why not use? There is this promise that often is heard on Ethereum conferences that you can write a pure distributed application without central servers that are like the future, where you don't need DNS, you don't need etc. etc. And it's often presented in three pillars. You have some kind of a blockchain, like Ethereum. Basically, this is your state or a server, or how do you call it. You have some peer-to-peer communications, like Whisper, and you have some distributed storage, like Swarm. With this, in an ideal world, you can develop like a pure distributed application. Did I miss a pillar? I think that this should be enough for a pure distributed app. But no testnets are providing the full stack. Nobody started a testnet that has a Swarm node, that nodes are started as a Whisper-enabled nodes, and where you have an Ethereum blockchain. Why? I'm not sure why, because Whisper is in a fucked up state, Swarm maybe even more, but I'm not sure why. I need to run a Swarm node to give a concrete answer why Whisper sucks. I think Lisinski could provide a nice test bed, so we start nodes with a Whisper flag and see why it breaks, why it doesn't work. And if we raise 2 GitHub issues on the main repositories, this is a feedback that's valuable, you know, even for the smarter guys than us that are working on the implementation stuff. What happened, even without Lisinski running, numerous questions arose in the initial guys that started to talk about Lisinski. The first thing was governance. How to distribute this test ether? Should we give it just to the validators and then allow them to spread them around, or should we give a faucet, or should we develop an application where you can put your creation ID and get some amount of test ethers? It's all the questions that are still open. Who can be a validator? What's the process of decisioning? Can be a company validator, can be a foreign company validator. Should we have validators I'm not sure.
Serbia.
France. Huh?
Serbia.
Yeah, maybe Serbia. Who knows? You know, that's a question. How we decide it? It's not for me to say who can be a validator. It's something that we need to discuss and find by ourselves. How many validators do we need? How the genesis will look like? And this is one of the things that I'm really bothered with. Most of the testnets today have a genesis block, and you really didn't have the time to discuss it publicly. Even Gurley just after committed genesis and we started to mine it. Nobody had basically that much time to, you know, say maybe we should update things in the genesis. And the main question, when do we consider Lisinski successful? Close it off and move on, because Lisinski won't be forever. At one point we're gonna shut it down, delete the data, because maintaining testnet is futile if nobody is using it. Infrastructure. What infrastructure do we need? Who will host the Explorer stats? Who will develop them? Which fork of the stat server will we use? How the faucet will work? Should be a two-way bridge, one-way bridge? Like a bunch of questions, and we didn't even start to mine the block. What's the current state of Lisinski test network? Local community expressed interest and motivation to support the project. I'm often at the conferences, I talk with people, and everybody had a positive feedback. Yes, I wanna learn that thing. Nobody has the chance to learn it, and it's really nicer to do it with your colleagues and not by yourself at night alone on a computer mining some blocks that nobody will see ever. Currently, 6 validators apply to be a validator. Bitfalls here, Digital as PowerPlay here. Faculty of Informatics in Pula, he's not here. Async Labs here, I think, yeah. Node Factory also here, and Block Road here. Nice. So if you want to join in, please let us know. We're still seeking people, so this is not the final list of the validators that are here. All of these are Croatian companies or faculties. We are in talks with a few more faculties to get them on board because there are some how do you call it, lectures on blockchain on those faculties, and they're probably either not running a testnet or using some other testnets. There is one more reason for a local testnet. I dare you get 10,000 common testnetters. You won't get 10,000. You have 10,000?
No, I dare others also.
Yeah, because it's impossible to acquire enough of testnetters to do some more serious tests in a real life scenario. The only option is to test it locally on your computers, and you're not basically testing the real blockchain because it's not on a bunch of different computers. With Lisinski, if you're a Croatian company, we can give you 1 million of testnetters and attack, and that's a nice feature for some more intensive tests of the stuff. And this is the governance question. How do we decide who will get those 1 million ethers for this test network? Where are we? So there are GitHub and GitHub organization created. Initial proposal for Genesis is on the GitHub repository. It's still open for discussion and probably will be for a month or 2 months more. So if you want to provide feedback, now is the chance. We have some initial hardware for boot nodes, explorers, etc. Ready. We are also looking for more of those. Right up the links, it's basically HPOA, Lisinski HPOA is a Hrvatski proof of authority or Hrvatska potvrda o autoritetu, if you want to keep the same translation. But the name of the organization is not so important, because if we don't decide that there is a better solution, Lisinski failed. So ideally, Lisinski must die so we can move on to be a better organization.
That's a sacrifice.
Yeah, we need to sacrifice. It's not live yet, but we need to kill it while it's young. So these are some future musings. We will break it often, hopefully, because if we are breaking it, that means that we are pushing the limits. We will make an idea when Lisinski should be shut down and replaced with a better solution. Ethereum 2.0, I'm looking at you. Hopefully we'll get the Croatian Ethereum 2.0 test network. We're aiming for having 20 validators or more. There are some technical limits how many validators can we have, but double the number of the usual should provide more info how the network behaves with a bigger number of validators. Who knows, do we get 20 of people interested in running the nodes? But we are kind of preparing for more validators. And hopefully Lisinski will answer the question, what can blockchain do for a local community? Join Lisinski if you have the interest, and thank you. I'm not sure what's my time.
We have time for one question. So who has the best question? Put your hand up. No pressure.
We can have 3 questions.
2 questions.
I have questions about Guru.
Okay.
2, but quick as well.
Okay.
So how do you get ethers there? Is there a full set? I didn't know. And second question is, how adopted is this by domain libraries like Web3.js, Ether.js, or any others? Do you know?
So there is a two-way bridge where you can burn test ether from Cohen and Rickenby and get Gurley testnet. So if you get that, you can get. If you need a bigger amount, you can ask me. I have 100,000 of those because I'm a validator, so I was fortunate enough to get those for my efforts. It's basically a normal Ethereum blockchain, normal RPC calls, and you can point your Web3 library to it, and you use it as a normal blockchain.
Yeah, they normally have like these embedded DNSs and embedded into the libraries there.
Okay, so most of the clients support the flag //girl.
Alright.
So you can pull normal Go Ethereum Geth. If you do //girly, it starts to sync to the Girly test network. I think Pantheon is supported by Girly flag, and Nethermind is supported by Girly flag, and Ethereum JS is supported by Girly flag. And Parity, we should hopefully see the upstream pull from the Parity Girly branch.
Thank you again, Nikola.
Thank you.